Hello, listeners, streamers, and friends. My name's Eric Hollis, and I'm the Community Life Director here at Keystone. And I'm here with my co-host, Ryan King.
That's right. I work at Keystone Community Church as well with our students, young adults, and recently I've become our coronavirus church consultant.
And his office hours are when, Ryan?
My office hours are always, because I'm always working for the Lord.
Yep. Professional Christians, me and Ryan.
So Eric, tell me, you're kind of the mastermind behind this video series, this podcast series. What are your hopes for this series?
Yeah, so this is the Keystone Connect podcast. So if you haven't noticed, we're not together and we can't get together on Sundays. Miss you guys. But as we talk about at Keystone all the time, the church is a people. And we have all this amazing technology that we might as well just connect somehow and grow together still. So this was just a step in that direction, as well as there's just a lot of discouraging things happening right now. If you read the news, there's this thing called the coronavirus. Have you heard of it before?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, so the coronavirus news is getting people in, a bad headspace. So we want to encourage them. We want to just laugh a little bit, talk about some cool stuff, and go from there.
And I think that through all the digital things that we have accessible to us, we can still stay connected and be a community together. So Eric, how are some ways that you see us using digital media? How do you see us using that in a positive way through Keystone and for the greater community that we live in?
Yeah, well, we just want to provide fresh air here at Keystone. You know what I'm saying? Fresh air on the radio, on the podcast, airtime. You get out for fresh air. Okay, I thought we were at least in the middle.
No, you're down.
So it's important to get outside for fresh air and then also just hear positive, encouraging things. So we're going to be talking a little bit about what's going on. Brady's coming in a little bit, and we're talking about just kind of the problem of pain and disease and how we have those conversations with people about why would God allow this, or why does this happen? And so stay tuned for that. We have a really cool interview with him coming up on the podcast.
Yeah, I'm really excited. When you pitched this idea to me, I think you had some really great things with different interviews that we'll be having, talking about good news, sharing some jokes, and even just giving you guys some great ways to serve or give back during these times and understand as a church what we're able to do as well. And one of those things is through social media. What have you seen so far, Keystone-wise, for social media?
Yeah, so what's kind of going on is that people are sending in pictures of them. The Harper family, actually, shout out to the Harper family if you're listening. They took a picture of the girls. They were drinking their hot cocoa, eating their popcorn, and watching the live stream of the kids' special kind of specific live stream that Holly's been sending out. So Holly's doing some awesome things to keep the kids to stay connected. It is screen time, but it's great screen time, positive, helpful for their faith. And then there's also some things going on in regards to Anthem with this guy. He actually just did his first Breakfast and Bible this morning at 10?
Bible. Yeah, students-wise, we're trying to connect our students, and we have some different things we're doing. The first one is we are going to be running a Sunday program through a digital means. We're using Instagram Live. You can at Anthem Students. And we're running a full program. We've got games that you can engage with us in. We're teaching a lesson. We're doing worship. It's just through digital methods. And also every single morning through that same Instagram Live, again, at Anthem Students, we are doing a 10 a.m. Bible study, and it's just a great way to encourage students to continue their faith, to stay connected in community, and then we're also going to be putting out challenges every single day that people can do, just fun things, whether it's play a board game with your family, or draw a picture of your small group leader and text it to them, or whether it's call a relative above the age of 50 and just talk to them, because 50 is still young.
Yep.
Is still young.
Shout out to the young 50-year-old.
Young 50s. So we're really excited about it. We think that even though we're limited in where we can go, that doesn't mean that we're limited in what we can do. So we're trying to engage students in new ways. And I know at Keystone, we've got our Sunday program live streams still going. We had our first one this Sunday. What were your thoughts on it?
I thought it was great. Brady just talked about how do you navigate this space of faith and fear, and how do you move forward with that? And he talked a little bit about just it's okay to have these feelings of fear, but it's how you move forward with that, and just talking about how faith and fear are, they can't coexist as roommates. You can have those feelings, but you just at one point in your faith, you just have to put your foot down and say, I trust you, Lord. I know you are for me. I know you love me more than I can imagine. And we're going from here. So it was great. We just enforced a +1 policy for all staff. So staff get to come with one person.
It's like a bad wedding date because there's no dancing or food. But I guess you could eat the bread of life that is the word of the Lord.
Yeah, there's no popcorn. You have to bring your own coffee. It's a pretty weird place here on Sunday mornings now. But when you're streaming, when you're doing anything, just tag us at Keystone CC on our Instagram or Facebook. Then we're doing it through Facebook Live, our service as well. You can also use the hashtag Keystone CC. That's correct, right?
Keystone CC is
so
the one.
We actually
Keystone CC.
Yes. Put it there.
I'm putting it right there.
So with Instagram too, we actually haven't had anyone tag us ever. So this is going to be our first contest. If you tag us
What the heck?
at Keystone CC,
What the flippin' pancake?
you are going to get a t-shirt. So
A
tag
Keystone
us.
t-shirt, and I'll throw something in. We will send you one of our exclusive Anthem t-shirts that our students designed this year.
Whoa.
2 t-shirts for the price of 1 post. I think we, again, are just looking for ways to connect through social media, through digital content, and make sure you're checking out our live stream, which is happening 10 a.m. every Sunday morning at keystonecc.org or even on Facebook Live. So, and I think we're going to throw it over to our interview with Brady.
Yeah, so I just sat down with Brady and we talked about how we can have these conversations of what do we do with our faith when it feels a little bit shaken. So we're going to transfer over to that bit.
All right, check it out.
So I'm here with the man, the myth, the legend, Brady Nemmers
Something like that.
on Keystone Connect, and wanted to just get into it here. During this week, a lot of people, maybe whether churched or unchurched, are going to be thinking, so where's God in all this? Where is God when something terrible such as a pandemic like this happens? And how do you usually approach that conversation? What's the posture you take? What's some advice you give them? And wondering just your thoughts on that.
Sure. Yeah. Well, it is a common question, especially in seasons where people experience loss or uncertainty or fear, and we're kind of walking into a stretch where all of those things are live options. And so the first thing I always want to caution, if you want to have a conversation with somebody who's not a person of faith, and they say something like, how could God allow this? Just the observation that if the person is hurting in the moment they ask the question, there are answers to the question of how God could allow it, but they're not very emotionally satisfying. So I would just say there are times where I don't know is a perfectly acceptable answer and probably the best sort of answer. If it's a question that's coming from a place where someone is just curious about maybe how do you approach this theologically, then I think I would talk about free will. I would talk about the fact that when God created humans, he gave them the ability to turn away from him and to go along a different path. The risk that God takes in that is basically that creation would be visited by all sorts of calamity at the hand of humans. And you look back on history and you can see that pretty evidently. So when it comes to something like a pandemic, honestly, there were people doing things over on the other side of the world that weren't particularly hygienic, healthy, recommended, and yet they were choosing to do them. I don't think they intended to launch a pandemic, but they made a mistake, and as a result, now we have this challenge to deal with on a global scale. But again, because God wanted relationship with people, he had to take the risk, because if God had not given us the ability to go a different way, then there would really be no relationship. You would just basically have created robots, which would be a lot cleaner, but not nearly have the sort of capacity for a relationship, and that was really what God was after with us. There is another side to all of this. There are those times where there are hurricanes and there are tsunamis and there are cancers that don't seem to be the result of any choice that anyone made. And the Bible actually speaks to this too. In a letter to Christians living in Rome, Paul talks about how creation was frustrated. When people chose to break relationship with God, not only did they fall away from relationship with God, but creation itself fell away. And that's kind of hard for us to get our minds around. But the creation, the created order itself, isn't what God designed it to be. We're sort of in the wreckage of what came about because of human free will. The good news is, of course, that God doesn't leave us in this spot. This is why Jesus comes, and eventually everything is restored to what God had in mind. So if you've been to a funeral, you know the passage where it talks about John, one of Jesus' first disciples, has a vision of a new heaven and a new earth, and the first earth had been basically gone, and now there was this new, recreated, sort of recapturing of what God had in mind in the Garden of Eden. So there's no more crying or death or tears or pain or pandemics or anything else. So that's sort of where the story goes from here. But for now, just honestly, it's tough, and we've got a path to walk in the next few weeks, months, hopefully not longer than months, but as a nation where we're just going to have to do it, and it's a result of not God's lack of love for us, but it was allowed because God does love us. And for me, I just look at it as an opportunity to love people, to serve people, and to do the same sorts of things we're called to do in any season as followers of Jesus. But I think we may find our world is more open to that than ever as people are looking for hope.
Yeah. I like that. One of my favorite quotes that actually I mentioned in the podcast in the Good News letter talks about Mr. Rogers. In times of pain and times of wreckage, always look for the people that are helping to find hope in situations such as that. And so if we can just take a posture of, being careful and being safe and helping however we know how amidst the wreckage and the pain, and just listening and being wise, I think that's really good. What's some of the pushback that you typically get in this conversation? So you bring that up. Is there what's like the typical response that someone says, yeah, but this? And do you have any more?
Yeah. So I always point people, if I get pushback, I always point people to the other option, which is we can only do what God wants us to do. Sometimes I'll interact with a parent who has a teenager who's kind of doing a prodigal phase, and the prayer is, God, change the heart of my kid. And there's not really evidence in the scriptures that God actually does that. God will work through people to bring wisdom and allow the person to choose. But so just sort of hijacking someone and making them a different person is not the way that he chooses to work, because if he did, again, there could be no relationship with him, and that sort of violates the very core of why he created people in the first place.
Yeah. Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Thanks for making the time. And I hope this encourages you guys wherever you are and wherever you're listening to it. And we're going to do one of these topics per week. So if you have something that you want us to cover, a question that you have, just send it in. Write it in the comments, or just email me, eric@keystonecc.org, and we'll see if we can have this conversation another week.
All right, guys, we are back with Keystone Connect. I hope you guys enjoyed the interview. Now what we're going to do is talk about good news and good laughs. What you got for us today, Eric?
So I actually get the Good newspaper about every other month, and it's just a bunch of good news, because a lot of times what happens with the news, if it makes the news, it's negative and just kind of can get you down. So it literally just highlights a ton of good things going on. And so you can get the Good newsletter as well. So if you just go to the bottom of our YouTube channel.
Down there.
Down the
YouTube underwear.
You can click the link to read some of that, as well as subscribe to the Good newsletter. That's free. The Good newspaper, I think, costs a couple bucks, but definitely worth it.
So let's hit you with some good news, just like an afternoon Taco Bell meal hits you.
Yes. Yep, exactly. So speaking of Taco Bell, Uber Eats waives delivery fee for over 100,000 independent restaurants to help lessen the impact of the virus.
I just checked, and that is certifiably good news.
Chinese billionaire Jack Ma donates masks, test kits to all countries in Africa.
Morality called. Oh yeah, certifiably
Good news. It wants its good news back. Wuhan doctors celebrate closure of last temporary hospital after dramatic fall in cases in China.
I love that. Things are changing, and that right there is good news.
And then lastly, there's a bunch of athletes out there that are paying the salaries, just kind of the hourly salaries of the people that are working at their arenas and at all the different sports games. And you'll see it kind of all over the news. Some of these people really helping out others in times of need, such as this.
And I love that. And I think that's an encouragement for all of us to be giving back and helping where we can in any way. And I'd say across the board, things like that are just good news.
Good news.
And here's the thing. I love good news because it's not only good positive news, but the good news is also the good Lord's news, the gospel of Jesus Christ in our life. Praise up. So give us some good jokes. I'm looking for some good laughs because, as they say,
laughter is the best medicine.
Aside from real medicine.
Aside from real medicine,
from
folks.
real medicine.
Another hot take.
Another hot and sweaty.
Some of these jokes in this laugh time is brought to you by Charmin Ultra, because you know that business is booming these days.
Business is booming because the poopers are pooping.
Yep, Charmin Ultra. Less is more. You know, if you know anyone from Charmin Ultra that wants to sponsor this laugh time, just let them know. So I thought it was pretty funny. As staff, we were talking about potential openers at Keystone, and these probably will not make it through this Sunday, but nonetheless, they were funny to talk about.
Yeah, what songs we got for our openers list?
So I think it was Brady that brought up You Can't Touch This.
Can't touch it.
Because you don't want to.
Yeah, because you don't want to actually
Ryan's
touch
actually rapped
anybody.
before for the opener. What was that one during the summer?
I'll MC Hammer down on that bad boy.
Yes. There's the other one, Don't Stand So Close to Me. Don't stand so close to me. Yep. So my friend in Germany says that there's been panic buying all these sausages and cheeses.
Okay, I can always use a good sausage.
He said it's the worst case scenario. Isn't that crazy?
No.
Bratwurst, worst case, cases of brats, you know. There you go.
Thank you for that.
Yep.
Thank you for that gift.
And then, so I was thinking every week we can also give a suggestion for greeting someone.
I like that. No more high fives, no more handshakes.
No more high fives, no more handshakes.
So what should we do?
And to be honest, this whole elbow touch thing, that's where you sneeze. So
don't be touching bows.
Yeah, don't throw bows or you're going to get coronavirus in your nose. So maybe not. We'll see. Anywho, the butt high five is essentially keeping 6 feet of distance between
butt
you.
High five. Can you tell me about this?
So I'll tell you about this. What it is, you stand 6 feet away, you jump up in the air towards someone, do a 180 in the air, and then just kind of kick your butt out like you're high fiving, but with your butt.
So you're telling me that literally it's just a double cheek slap. Just two cheeks.
Well, no, you don't. You don't touch. It's 6 feet away.
You can't touch. So you're literally just.
Can't touch this.
You're just throwing your booty directionally towards them.
Yes.
That sounds promiscuous. I don't think children should be doing this. Children, please. I hope. I'm so sorry.
What's the age
I'm
cutoff,
so
like
sorry.
12?
Rated M for mature. So there you have it, folks. That is our good news and good laughs. And as we are ending our podcast, we've got a quick roundup of a book, a movie, and some music that you guys can listen to as we head our way out into the world.
So for our book, our staff is actually going through the Celebration of Discipline. Covers a bunch of different disciplines such as prayer, fasting, solitude, all sorts of different things. And in a time where you have a lot of time on your hands and can have some quiet time, hopefully, here and there, highly recommend just reading this. And I actually have all the study guides for it in order to answer some questions with it and just to dig a little deeper. If you want to do a study with friends, you can do that. And I will more than happily send you the link.
Yeah, it's a great way to interact and dig deeper into your faith. Also, if you're looking for some good music to listen to, if you have a Spotify account, we actually have a Keystone Community Church playlist, which every month new music gets added to that. You can check it out on Spotify. Just search Keystone Community Church. This playlist will jump up, and it's got a lot of great music, not only Christian music, but top 40 music that will encourage you and keep you going.
Yeah, and if you're sitting around, maybe you want to watch a movie, Disney Plus actually released Frozen 2 early. So I actually watched that the other night. I hadn't seen it. I was kind of going into the unknown my first time watching it. I didn't know what to expect. And, we have someone appearing.
What a guest experience.
Call it the Paulcast.
Oh, what a Paulcast.
Maybe we'll see him later.
Bye, Paul.
Bye, Paul.
What a time. Well, there you guys have it. That is our recommendation roundup. Now, here's one quick way that you can give back, and then we are out of here.
So you can drop off donations or food to Sibley starting next week, March 23rd. The Other Way said they'll actually be open from 9 to 3 every day and 9 to 6 p.m. on Tuesdays. Drop-offs can be done during that time, such as, canned goods or anything boxed up, not like a fresh meal to hand out. Or you could just give to The Other Way, because I'm sure they're doing some things that is really touching the West Side and the community out there.
Yeah, giving some money online allows them to buy fresh food for people so that they have fresh things outside of canned goods as well. And that's a way that you can give back without leaving your home.
Yeah, and they got hit pretty hard because a lot of people are on assisted lunches and breakfasts and even dinners on the West Side and in the GRPS school system. So it's really helping just some people locally that kind of had something rock their world a little bit. So there's also the care tab. If you go to our website and care at the top, if you have a prayer request or know of someone in need, as a staff, we pray for people that are on that list every week and would love to figure out ways that we can give back or connect some people to giving back as well during this time. So make sure you check that out on our website.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in to Keystone Connect. Eric, it's been so good being with you.
It has been both a privilege and an honor, Ryan. I'm Eric Hollis.
I'm Ryan King.
You stay safe out there, Keystone.